Okay, I attached the water pump. I used some of that, which is that, to bolt it down underneath the gasket. I used some of that sealant. It was uneventful, so I didn't film it. Train's coming through town again. I put my screens back up, both of them. The little clamps come off with a screwdriver, the little deals at the bottom. I put some more urethane on there as just to help to kind of hold it all in place. Just down here. Let's see what it looks like. Oh my goodness, look at that. Can't even tell. Looks like new. A little bit different, but nobody will ever even know. Our high weather pattern is lifted, and low pressures finally came in. 2 months, no rain. Finally we're getting some rain. We really need it. And Christmas decorations. I think for the celebration of the rain and the Christmas decorations, I think I'll go play some lullabies. Well, those were some lovely Christmas lullabies there I was playing, so hope you enjoyed that. Anyways, this is the back of my little shed, my garage kind of a thing. It's a carport with sides, I don't know, park stuff in, but I hate leaving anything out in the weather because it just gets tore up. The sun will just tear it up if you leave anything out. So this is kind of a little shed I made. I just kind of poured a little slab, and yeah, it's a drive-through kind of a thing. There's 4 screws holding this on so I can take it off. Let me take this off. On the other side it's got a door that flips up, and so you can get into, and I can start the stuff while, you know, through the year and stuff, but I only get into this maybe once a year, just for snow blowers and snowmobiles if it snows. So let me get this door off. Okay, here are both of the snow throwers. They both need a little work. The 8-horse has a always carburetor problems on these. It has a leaky carburetor. It runs great, but the carb leaks, so I need to fix that. And then the Craftsman, it runs pretty good. I made a new shoe for it. It was missing a shoe, so I made a new shoe for it. But it runs good, but it hunts at idle. And I think it's the idle jet, the idle circuit. I'll have to take the carburetor off and look at it. I never have. So need to look at that. Maybe I'll take a big old drill bit and run up through the idle jet. Yeah. No, just joking. Okay. Yeah, let's see here. Turn the gas on. And yeah. So maybe it chokes up, chokes down. I don't know. Let's see what happens here. Let's try it. this way. Only use non-ethanol gas in my machines, and probably twice or 3 times a year I come back here and start everything. Everything gets new gas every year, or twice a year, whether I use it or whether I don't. So let's get this up to the garage and have a look at the carburetor. It looks like it's leaking at the bowl and also at that little bottom jet, but it's, you can see it's, and when you leave the gas on it, it drips. So I'm going to take a look at that, take that off there. Looks like we're going to have to take this cover off to get to it. Okay. Yeah, I wonder what that hole is for. There's a hole right here, and it looked like there was a switch or something, because there was no way to ever shut this off. Of course, I bought this used, so here's probably the wire. Yeah, it's the wire. It's just a ground wire, and all it does is when you ground it, it shuts the spark off. So I think we're going to put a little switch there. I'm not going to pull this any farther. The electrical line going to the electric starter is there. I made quick work of it with just some ratcheting box. There was one screw down here, is like 7/16. You had to take out all these 3 cylinder head bolts, but when I took them out, they were loose. And when I checked the other one, it was loose too. So don't be afraid to wrench on your stuff, because I just found something that's potentially, you know, those go loose, and you blow head gasket, and then you got a mess. Then you got head gasket to replace. Looks like we have just Phillips there, and there. Probably sneak that past the muffler without even taking it off, and the fuel line. So we take those all off, and we'll put it on the workbench and have a look at it. There she is in all her glory. There was a connection on the other side for a governor, probably. So you're going to make that connection. I'm thinking that gasket's leaking. The gasket here is leaking. Could be the float is, I'll have to get in it and look and see. Could be the float stuck. Could be not stuck, but not floating. Could be some crap underneath the needle seat causing the float to you know, overfill and come out here. But it runs so good, that's the whole thing. But there's noticeable gas leaking off this, so there's probably this gasket here. We'll have to clean it up and see. I don't think it's internals. I'm thinking it's a gasket. We'll see. Okay, when you have this all apart, make sure you take your number 40 main jet drill and give it a good reaming. I'm just joking. So, okay. We're not going to drill into jets. There you go. That's where you belong. Oh, here's all my jet drills. This is for the real big jets. Right there. Yeah. In order to take this carburetor apart, there's a adjustable little deal, goes into the main jet right there, and as you adjust it, you can fatten or lean it. I'm leaving it where it is because it runs so good. That's another thing, is when you take one of these apart, if you take these out and you don't have any kind of idea where they are, when you count them out, how many turns it comes to get out, either that or screw them all the way in and then count them out. Find out, what I'm saying is put it back where it was, especially if it runs right. You can do minute tweaks to it, but man, if you're a turn or 2 out and you're not, yeah, you could booger stuff. Your air screw same way. Air screw same way. Excuse me, just getting over captain trips, especially if you're okay. Now, I breathed into this, this little, if you breathe into this, and you lift the float out of the way with your finger, I know you can't see it, but you can hear it. My float's not damaged in any ways. Sometimes they get water in them and then freeze and crack or break. There's no water in it. We're pretty good. This is a wacky kind of a gasket. It's that the gasket goes smooth. Oh, also when you tip this up like this, you have to kind of fidget with a screwdriver your little needle back in place right there. Can you see it right there? Okay. It's kind of a wacky kind of a gasket. It's cork. I'm going to clean that off and seal it up when I put it together. I'm going to seal that up. I want to put a little sealant around this hole too. You know, if I used this a lot, you know, and it was some kind of professional equipment, I'd buy a rebuild kit for it. But I'm not. I don't use it a lot. You put a little sealant around it, I think it's going to fix it. My idea is to fix it for nothing. Zero. Nothing. Nada. Nilch. None. So we're going to clean that up and put it back together. I'm sure it'll be fine. Got this, got my water pump seal for my snowmobile that I don't need. I ordered it from these people. See if you can read that. I'm not going to say who they are. Can you read that? Can you read that? Come on, focus. Hello? Focus? Focus. Focus. Anyways, it says liters RPM. Okay, I said their name there. I'm sorry. When I found out it wasn't my water pump, this order had been in for 1 day. The next day I got the part. Here's who you want to order your parts from. Liters RPM. They're out of Michigan. I ordered a gasket set the next day for this from an outfit out of Michigan that is closer to Oklahoma. I think they're out of Kalamazoo Liters in Midland, something like that, Saginaw. And Kalamazoo is a bit south. I've yet to see it. So, and I don't have any shipping information on it either. So probably they've taken my money and bought Christmas presents for their children. Okay, so let's get back to this. Let's put this together and we'll let it set for a while to let that sealant budge up a little bit. And I got another thing over here I want to fix too. I think there's a bracket or something I had a bolt out of. And we'll see about a switch for that. Okay, get out of here with that. I've mounted my carburetor. You can't see it because it's there isn't any light. But trust me, I did. You can see there, there, and there where I used a little sealant. Okay, when I'm going to put this on here, I'm going to put this bracket on there. I'm not going to run my wire out there. I'm going to run my wire right up along here. I'm going to cut a little piece of heat shrink to act, maybe half of that, maybe to act as a kind of a insulator, a little bit better insulator. I'm going to devise myself some kind of a spring thing to shut this thing off, like the old-timey lawnmowers. The reason being is that hole there is a clue, and the clue is the switch isn't even there any longer. So this 8 horses vibrated that switch smooth out. I probably didn't spend a lot of money on a switch, but you know, that's all I have. I'm going to make something that's freaking rock solid. That's never going to go bad again unless it, I don't know about this though for an insulator. I need to use something for an insulator, maybe a couple pieces of this. When the engine gets hot, it'll squeeze and act as a pretty good insulator to keep it from shorting out. I bet you it'll work. It'll work for a while anyways. It doesn't start, we know what's wrong with it. Hey, there you go, okay. Okay, I found a piece of old sheet steel that I got from a friend from a body shop, cut out fender or something. It's got a little slot in it. I'm going to use that for the hole so I don't have to drill a hole. Snippy, snippy. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. There's a screw missing right there, and there ain't no more. So now this little cover there is secure. This is it's a 120 volt starter. We'll give it a shot too. Okay, got the carburetor on. Make sure and attach your fuel line down there because that's going to matter. You see where I'm going with this. This is a little piece I made. Ground down one side and left the other side plated. And I'm thinking it's going to go something like that. I took my wire and poked it back through there. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to, you know where I'm going with this. I'll show you. Make sure you tighten your your head bolts up good and tight. I'm using a short wrench, and short wrench doesn't have a lot of leverage on it, so you can kind of tell where it's supposed to be at. I know you can kind of tell it right. Well, you're supposed to use a torque wrench, but you know, these head bolts were loose to begin with. So I'm thinking tighter would be better. Can't do anything but make it better. You can put a torque wrench on yours if you want to. I paid $75 for this, so should be okay. Okay, this is just going to kind of touch that spark plug and shut it off. And pull the rubber cap off. I'm going to cut this, open this up, and it's got a screw-on cap on the spark plug. I'll show you how it works. Okay, give it a pull. You must understand the simplicity of this. What had happened at a board meeting, they all sat down and they said, we can't have those because they'll throw a spark and they'll blow up this gasoline, which it won't, and the lawyers will sue us. So we can't do that anymore. And the big wig said, how much did this piece cost? Well, it cost 3 cents. Okay, well, we can put a switch, but we can only spend 3 cents for a switch. So they put a 3-cent switch in here, and you can see it is no longer there and doesn't work. And you and I suffered for it because of the lawyers. So there you go. Yeah, it's hot. Okay. I think we're good to go here. Don't know why it didn't start then. Let's do it again. Just didn't like it, I guess. Everything else checks out okay. Fixed the screw in there. I fixed the gas line a long time ago. No more leaks out of the carburetor. Got an on-off switch. Oh, I need to tape up that wire. Oh, something else you might want to do. Know a lot of guys, they use spray lube and stuff like that, but you know, if you got an old Singer machine, Singer sewing machine can, 3-in-1 can, you pop the top off of them, put a little 40 weight in it, little 1040, and you can lube all your stuff with a couple of drops of 1040. And let me tell you, it works just as good as that stuff in the can, and it doesn't cost as much. So there you go. Okay, our $75 snowblower, she's ready to go.